debounce. So we discussed one manual auto control and I shared one example also. So today we are going to learn another concept related to events, working with events. So previous we learnt about throttle debounce and I shared one example also online. And we need to now learn about another concept, that is forms, React forms, how we can manage and work with forms in React. So form related events are there. Already you know form events means on submit, on reset. Those are JavaScript events. So in React, directly working with forms is not very impressive. It is very complex. Where it's not easy. It is not good approach every time. Some issues are there. For example, let's see what is problem and we will see what are the solutions we are having. Let's see. Actually, how to design a form, how to interact with the form. Let's go to our project. In this project, I will, last session we designed this one. We created this with manual and auto control by using debounce. So by using throttle concept, we learned how to create this. It can have auto play. It can have a manual play by using slider and all we design. Now let's create one simple form and see what is problem, what is issue. Let's create one component here. So I will add a component form demo, form demo.jsx. So export function form demo, and here we will create a simple form. For example, we are designing a form. In this, we have a heading, register user. We have a data list, data term. So some username and a text box. So we have another term, some mobile. Simple. One, two fields I will give. Later we will add other fields also. Right. So this is also text. Okay. And we have a button. You can have button submit, button type is submit. And what is our job is, let's create this and put it in the startup. And you can see it is in the startup. So what is our requirement is collect data from the form and use it. Later we will post into database, APIs. Those also we will see. But first question is how to collect the data from the form. How we can access data from the form. So we need to access data from username and mobile. So to collect data from username and mobile, because React supports only one-way binding. For two-way binding, to collect data entered in any element, it is mandatory that every element have on change. Yes, ma'am. I told you and I showed you practically also. We cannot collect data from any element directly without on change. So for every element you need on change. So if there are 10 text boxes, drop downs, for every element you have to write on change. It's a lengthy process. So what is the data we need to collect? So we have constant username, set username is equal to use state. It is empty. I will show you different techniques. Another constant mobile and set mobile is equal to use state. Okay. Now we need to collect the data. So how do we collect the data? So first we need a function handle name change. On name change, we have to collect event argument and set username e dot target dot value. The value from text box will come. Similarly, another function handle mobile change. Here we have to use set mobile e dot target dot value and on change of this text box handle name change, on change of this handle mobile change, and again on submit function handle submit. On submit, you know this should work when form is submitted. So form have a event on submit handle submit. On submit, you remembered I already showed you by default generic event will be there. We have to disable default event. How to disable default event? E dot prevent default. We have to disable. After that, console dot log. I want to submit the data. Suppose I am submitting an object with username. Username will come from username and mobile. Mobile will come from mobile. That's the data we want to submit. That means you see now here. So we are entering the details. You see the console. We are entering the details, username and some mobile, something like this. And you click on submit. Then it should collect the data and show. This is the actual way how we can access data from a form. And this is very complicated. That means if you have to collect data from every element using an event, that's very complex. That's it. Observe carefully. I will show you npmjs.com. This is Node Package Manager. And in that, I will show you Formic. Formic is a third party library. And I will show you the Formic. See, this is a third party library. What they say, build forms in React without. What does that means? Uh, what does that means? It means that don't cry. We have a solution for you. Because for a React developer, is if you ask design a form to interact with the data, then he will literally cry. Why? Because too much complication, so much logic to write. Then you will come to a conclusion that my JavaScript is better than React, especially in dealing form. But the point is, we have different solutions, right? That means why this third party says that you don't worry, because it is a worry to deal with form, designing form. It's complex thing. It's not complicated. It is very complex. So much work to be done. Time waste. All that is time waste. It's not great every time. So that is the reason here we have some solutions. What React people have done, React people started introducing some new things. but still they are not satisfied. That's the reason majority of real-time projects they depend on third party. By using third party, they create forms, they design interaction with the forms. We will see both techniques without third party and with third party, how to handle that. We'll see that. Initially, this is one technique. So I will show you the concept. First point is, so React provides form methods, form events. One is on submit, another one on reset. React provides form events on submit, on reset. Another point, it requires you can say that on change for every form element in order to access data from element. It requires on change for every form element in order to access data from element. Handling form data and validating the data is complex in React. Handling form data and validating the data is complex. So there are so many solutions. I will tell you the solutions. So first example is this example I will provide form submit and on change. I will copy this example. This is using form submit and on change, how to handle it. So on submit and on change. Okay. Now actually in React, so in React 18, 19 version onwards, 18 version onwards, they introduced some new things which look better but not great. Up to certain limits, if your application is satisfied, you can try it. If you don't want more than that, you can just use them. What is that new concept is actually React 17x version allows form data. 17x version allows form data. Allows form data. Actually, form data is not a new thing. It is already there in general HTML and JavaScript. They made a special service for that, and by using the service you can access. What is form data is simple. If anyone asks in interview like, I designed a form in HTML and I am submitting the form, what is the default form method? For default form method is get. On get method, form is submitted to server. When I submit form data to server on get method, where the data is submitted, On get method, if you submit data to server through form where the data is submitted, data is submitted as query string. That means form submits data as query string when you submit on get request. When you submit on post, when you submit on post where the data is kept, data is in form data. That means in HTML, when you submit a form using post method, the data is kept in a form data, and form data is a key value collection. It is a key value collection. Key value collection means form field name is used as key and its value as value. For example, I will show you. General HTML people know this. See, actually, in your HTML, when you design any form, simple, I am giving a form. We have a name and we have a text box, input type text, and name as user, and we have a button. Actually, default method is get. On get, when you submit, what will happen? I will run this. I submit some data. It is submitted as query string. But when you submit as post, that means if form method is post, then what happens is, let's open inspect. In the inspect, go to network. Okay, keep the network open. And here you refresh, the home is loaded. After that, you enter some data and submit. It is submitted. After submitting, select this home, which you submitted second one. On submit, you see there is headers, there is a category headers, and there is payload. Payload indicates what data submitted. Payload is the form data. Form data is having username, user, and John. That's a very common thing in HTML, everybody knows. Form submits data on get as query string. On post, it is in form body. That's basic. Now, many times you see on internet, YouTube, people say form data is a new concept in React. Our HTML people use it from more than 20 years, form data. It's not a new concept. Only the point is, in React, they enabled this from 17 and higher version so that we can directly use the form data. We can directly use the form data, but using form data is not highly safe and secured because sensitive information is easily viewed. It can be easily hacked. So much problems are there. But if you think that your data is not very highly private, so you can try this, you can use it. So how this form data works in React? Let's see. What you can do now is, what is another technique now? This is one technique, and in this technique you have seen lot of logic I need to write for handling. I will clean up all this data. I will clean up all this. Okay. I will remove on change. I am removing on change for everyone. And every form element needs a name. This is username. And this needs a name. What is it? Mobile. Now on submit, what you can do, prevent default, and you create a data reference as new form data. You have the new form data. And which form data? You have to mention the form name. That means we have to pass e dot target. E dot target is nothing but it returns the form. That means the form is sent into form data. What form data will do? It will collect the form because it is on submit na. On submit, what it is going to do, E is going to collect form related information. And what you do, pass the form, and what form data will do, it will separate its keys and values. It will separate the keys and values. Then how do we access the keys and values? It is like a map, JavaScript map. How to access? Console.log. I am printing an object. This contains username. How to get the username? You can get username using data.get. And the value. The value is key. Key name is username. That means you will get the username. After that, comma, we need another one. What is it? Mobile. Mobile will come from data dot what? Get. Get from which one? Mobile. It is going to access that. Now you don't need to write on change for everyone. If there are 10 elements, 20 elements, all the elements data you can access. But again, for every element, you need a reference now. And you see now what is going to happen here. I will refresh. I will enter the name and mobile. I click on submit. The data is sent. This time it looks little better. But handling form data is not safe every time because form data is visible to everybody. Anybody can see your data. Anybody can easily hack the data. I showed you in browser settings. You can go and track what data is being submitted. Right? That is not safe. It is not great in validations and all. But if you are dealing with a simple form where highly secure data is not required, everything is simple. So suppose you are creating a search bar and whatever user is typing, anybody can see, no problem. Then what you do, use this technique. It is more simple, right? So we can handle the same thing in a smaller concept. And that's what we can do by using form data. So what is new here? Form data. What is this form data? Form data is a key and value collection. Form fields or form field names are used as keys and their values as value. So here every form element requires a name. Syntactically, I'll just give here form handle submit. Select name is city. Like that, every element can have a name. New form data and into that e dot target. You can access the data entered inside it. right? So that is form data. So another technique is this. You have another concept also. I will copy this example. So this is example for form demo JSX. This is example. Okay. So without form data, the first one is without form data, simple technique. And this is by using form data, how we can use the form data. In React 18 and higher version, we have one more technique. Another technique is React 18x version. So provides useref hook to access the form data. Useref hook to access the form data. And what is speciality is actually every form element can have a reference attribute, a reference property, can have a reference property that maps to reference memory, that maps to reference memory. Every form element can have a reference property that maps to reference memory. So what is the specialty is you can store data in reference memory to avoid re-rendering. To avoid re-rendering. You can store data in reference memory to avoid re-rendering. So how we can define this is, for example, see here. That means this is another technique we have. So you can see what you can do. No need of form data now. Okay. You see for here we have a LET. One is name reference is equal to useref, and default it is some null. Okay. Another is mobile reference is equal to useref, and it is null. And observe carefully, every form element have a ref property, and you can attach a reference memory of React to it. And what is the reference memory? Name ref. And for this reference, we can use ref. And what is it? Mobile reference. Now, you know how to access reference memory. How to access reference memory? C, console.log. I want to print username. How to access the reference memory? To access reference memory, you need name reference dot current. That refers to name text box. In that name text box, we have a value. That means get the value of name. Similarly, we need mobile. How to access mobile? Name, what is it? mobile reference dot current dot what value. So you can see here this time we are using reference memory. I entered some name and I selected submit. It will get the same thing and do. This time we are using another technique called reference. Actually, when reference is good when you are dealing with large forms. For example, you see, like reference means it will cache your data, keep in reference memory, and use the data across re-rendering. That means you are dealing with some large forms like passport visa form. You are filling a form which contains 20, 30 fields level by level. Now, what happened? You filled all the fields and submitted. At any one field, some improper data is present. Then it come back and say that this is invalid. And when it come back, all the data resets again and say fill again. That's problem. Now, what is the advantage of using reference memory is it remembers your data until it is posted. That means across re-rendering, it will keep your data and make the data available until or unless it is completely submitted. That's good. If you are dealing with lengthy forms where data, but this is not great every time because if sensitive data is cached, it is kept in the memory for some time, then it is easy to hack your data. That means why banking applications, all these people say that your session timed out from 1 minute, you are not doing anything. Why can't they keep you login for more time? Because it is sensitive. Anybody can easily hack if you are in memory for some time. If your memory is active for some time, it is easy to hack it. Memory leaks may happen. That's the reason it is not great in security, but it is very good to avoid re-rendering. That means if data is required across multiple requests and especially lengthy forms, complex forms, and dealing with validations, we don't want to submit until all the data is valid and we want the data to be remembered across requests, then better you can use rest. That is one advantage. So when to use this? Already I given re-rendering, avoid re-rendering. That means it can cache and provide data across multiple requests. It is good for handling complex forms with multiple fields. Syntactically, some name ref. So that is reference. So how you can access name ref dot current dot value. Already we know that every reference memory is accessible with current, which refers to the current thread. So example, same. So we have the example copy. This is same form demo.jsx. So I'll copy this. This is another example. So you have seen three techniques. One is directly using individual, means accessibility using on change. Second one, using form data. Another one is use ref, how we can use ref. So even though you have so many things, they are not great in securities, cross page postings. I already explained Ajax problems, CORS, request forgeries. They are not good in security and all. That's the reason in real time we prefer using third party forms, right? There are so many third party form libraries which has built everything for us, just we have to use them. They are good at security, they are good at handling private data. So better try them, better use them. In majority real world projects, we use third party forms. So what are those? So React can use various third party form libraries. Like you have Formic is a third party library. We have Can do forms. These are belonging to Telerik. So we have like React hook form. So these are different form data. Some important third parties like Formic, Can-do forms, React hook form. So we are not sure which one your company uses, depends on their requirement. But as a developer, you should able to explore them by yourself. Once we explain one to libraries, other you have to learn. You have to explore by yourself. That's important. Because technologies like React, Angular, and other, they frequently change. You cannot try the same what you have learned today, right? That means 90% everything will be similar. 10% so many changes may happen. If you don't update yourself, you don't check the official references yourself regularly, then you will face problem. Because 3 months back, who learned React from us, now after 3 months, he sends a message saying that, sir, I am your previous React student. This option is not working for me now. Previously, I practiced it is working. Now it is not working. Such complaints are very common. If when we learned the concept, it worked and now it is not working, what does it means? That means either there is some mistake which you are not noticing it properly, or there may be some change in that concept in the official references. You need to verify it. You have to verify that, right? That is the problem. So you need to keep on exploring these things. I will show you how do we explore and see these points. Let's see. Every library depends, huh? For example, this Formic is one library which is very famous. You have like hook form, React hook form is there. Yeah, this is another third party library, React hook form. We have Telerik, I told you already. Telerik is a third party. Telerik people, Telerik is very famous for Microsoft people. That means if you belong to any Microsoft technology, then Microsoft is official partner of Telerik. They ask mandatory knowledge of Telerik. They ask mandatory knowledge of Telerik. For experienced people, they have to show experience with Telerik. Fresher can mention about any third party, but experienced people must be specific. For example, you are a .NET developer and you are designing forms and you are using React in your front end with ASP.NET, MVC, like that concepts are there. So if you are doing that, then they are official partner with Telerik. Then they all use only Telerik library. You can see these people are the partners of Telerik. NASA, Microsoft, Samsung, IBM. These are all official partners of Telerik. And if you are working in their projects, then majority they ask knowledge in Telerik. Why? Because they buy it. They buy and use it, right? And they are not free to try. You can't practice them because they are paid services, right? Let's see how to use a simple third party form. What is difference and how do we handle the form? So we will see one important library, that is Formic. Formic library. So what is speciality of this Formic library is nothing but it provides features. It provides features for handling forms in both function and class components. That is one advantage with this form library. Actually, some libraries cannot work on class components. They can work on only function. Some can work on only function. They cannot work on class. But this can work in both places. That is one good advantage about form. And very important is it provides predefined services with built-in events. It provides predefined services with built-in events. That means like on change, so on blur, so on submit. So actually handle change, handle blur, handle submit. So it provides built-in events. That means these events are already written. Just we have to attach and use them. What I showed in first example, we have to attach event and we have to write logic for collecting the data from it. How e dot target dot value. But what is speciality here? You just attach the events. Already logic is written. You just need to collect the data and use the data. So what is advantage? They have built-in events. So by using these built-in events, you can just access the data easily. How? Let's see. How to design the Formic? Actually, it provides use Formic hook to configure a form and handle the form data. It provides use Formic hook to configure a form